Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Justin Duso, Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick, Owen Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Alexander Main, David Wayne Foster and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. I'm going to hand over to whoever is in the Discord and G Plus stream so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
But the people who are saying this, do they believe gas pressure could exist without containment?
I don't know. It's some guy. He's like, his name is E.T.
Some guy. His name is E.T.
E.T. phone home. He's been on for a while. He's a scared guy from Canada, thinking that the world is gonna end and we gotta get, Yeah, I first straight into him about. Yeah, I first got on Discord. He came in.
Wait a minute, that's
a bad
kill.
guy.
Some guy named E.T. That was classic.
Yeah, I think he goes by E.T.
Oh my gosh.
I'm driving. Let me go off you.
He wants to go home, Flatsoid.
How's it going?
It's going good. Anyone in Discord?
There's no one in there at all, actually.
No one there.
Because the clocks have now caught up, right?
So quite quiet there.
I'm sorry, everyone was talking.
I said there's nobody in Discord at the moment, but we are now back to being quite early.
Yeah. Oh, so even Discord doesn't jump on this early when they're on?
Well, it used to be Neil, but he's in G Plus now, right?
That's right. It was Neil, wasn't it?
Me and Steve used to be on in Discord and
and Ryan Edgerton. And Ryan Edgerton is usually on early.
Yep. Well.
The Giants still suck.
So I hear there's a whole bunch of stories about the elections there by you guys.
Terrible how they did him. Terrible how they did President Trump by allowing this Pennsylvania thing to be collected and counted even into 3 days later.
Let it play out. Let it play out.
Doesn't actually matter who, and it's all controlled anyway.
Let it what now?
I used to think that. And part of me still does.
Same coin, different sides.
Hey, listen, I'm hoping you're right, and the president is not elected but selected, but he selected Trump.
Yeah, look, I'd rather take Trump over Biden for sure.
Biden will get pushed away. He don't even know where he is.
How many one-termers have there been? Not including people assassinated.
Well, Jimmy Carter definitely was a one-termer. He
was the latest. Yeah, Jimmy Carter. I think Jimmy Carter was the latest. Absolutely.
And before Jimmy Carter, how many one-termers?
Don't remember. Tricky Dick, he
Well-
would have won. He didn't even have to do that Watergate thing. He would have won anyway. He was, he got caught up doing something he shouldn't have been doing. But geez, look what's going on now. That makes freaking Watergate look like kindergarten.
I asked 10th Man to repeat himself,
I know
but
what
he
you're
didn't.
saying. I know what you're saying.
No, just wait for it to do what now? 10th?
It's to me, it's the whole thing is ridiculous because who would ever run Crazy Joe and Kamala Harris the way they present themselves? It's almost meant for them to lose. So just wait for it all to happen. Meaning, whatever's going to be is going to be, and selected, elected, based on what I've seen in my life. Just like Flatzoid says, it's one coin with two sides, and no matter which side wins, the other entity that no one talks about, they have a plan.
So
with
why do
either
you
side.
vote? Then why do you vote?
Well, because I have a conscience, and I have to appease my conscience. And so, if I have to play this game of theirs, I'm going to vote for someone who's pro-life, who isn't killers like the Democrats are. So that way I could say I did the right thing. Now, am I right in my assessment 100%? No, this is just my opinion that this is what's going on. So I still have to obey my conscience.
Well, the sermon that our pastor gave through internet this Sunday, he took you through the scriptures, and he basically said it's not about a party, it's about praying for whoever's in authority.
Well,
That's
that
hard.
can be. Look, everyone's going to give account to God for their life, politicians included, right? So that's a day everyone's going to have to face up to. Now, the Christian message is simple. We're sinners and we're separated from God because of sin, not because of politics, not because of our stance on what the earth is or his sin. It's our sin that separates us from God. And Christ came to deal with that. And to the Christian, that's our salvation. Now, as Christians on this earth with worldly governments, how are we to behave? Well, in a way that mirrors Christ, in a way that mirrors God's love. So that's what I do with my life, or I try to do with my life to the best of my ability. But hey, I'm a fallen sinner who's saved.
Okay,
No one's
couple
perfect.
of words. I didn't get it out the last time. I'll try a third time and then see if and then I'll just.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So it's going to do what now? You said it's going to do. You said it's going to something out. What did you say it was going to do?
Play out. He said it's going to play out.
Play.
Yeah, I just said let it play out.
Play. You say play out.
Oh gosh, Nathan, come on.
Well, come on, Neil. Sorry, did you say they're in? Did you say they're the authorities? Did you say, Neil? In authority? What does having?
Yeah, so
What? So what does that mean?
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
Author, play. Oh my gosh.
What a great
Oh,
morning.
I see.
I love it, Nathan. I love it.
They're words again, right?
All the world's
That's
a
that
stage,
spelling,
my
right?
friends. All the world is a stage.
I agree with that. That's awesome.
It's that spell thing, that spelling that you took me through.
Ah,
Yeah.
so they're the arbiters of the spells. They're in authority.
Yes.
They're the authors of the spells.
Right. Mm.
But
Yeah.
are they? But that's the question. If you want to look at what is authorship and authority, then are they really the people who author the spells? Now, without giving any details away, we're in 2020 and everyone's probably aware of the beer bug. Well, given that that's a current position that someone has to take authority on, who would you say is the author of this particular thing that we are under? You know, we must understand it, we must abide by it, right? Well, who's the author of that? You have to figure out who the author is, and normally it's the person with the money that's in real authority. Now, when you get past that level of, well, who's authoring the stories, who's the author, you realise that they're just stories that are being authored anyway. And then you get to the, well, who's in charge of the actual reality, as opposed to the stories. And there isn't anybody. Not in our realm, at least. So beyond the
Ah,
stories,
good.
beyond the authorship, beyond the plays, beyond the... What other words can I think of? Oh, acts. Do you have acts there? We have acts here. People
cast.
think they're laws, they're acts. Right? So once you get past all of that, you realise that, well, who are you actually slave to? Once you're past the slavedom of authority, that would be people and their stories. Who is actually your master
Jesus Christ.
in this realm?
That's who I'm a slave. Oh, in this realm, Jesus Christ.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair enough answer, and I understand it entirely.
The devil has got control here as far as
Okay.
in the world. God is always in control, but it's been handed over to him.
Okay, stop.
When Adam and Eve
Okay,
sinned.
both of you, please. Beyond the anthropomorphization of these ethereal entities, where does the buck stop?
With you.
What's the context of your question precisely? Restate.
Yeah, that's
My
what I'm trying
question
to
is
figure
that
out.
if you want to look at stories, and let's take the heliocentric model as just another story, which it precisely is, well, that builds up your worldview, what you perceive as reality. But once you move beyond the authorship of a story, what are you left with? Your decision on whether or not that's your reality, based on perception or just so stories. But that's you, isn't it? That's it. Book stops with you.
Yeah. Yeah, once you're at that stage, and
A second, but believing in the heliocentric model is not going to affect everyday life, Nathan.
no, that's not what he's saying.
Hold on.
Everybody's got
What makes you say that? I would entirely disagree. At a fundamental level, it entirely changes your world outlook, your perception of reality. If you see the world as an empty soup of nothingness, then you're going to have a nihilistic outview, and that is precisely what they want.
Every day, no.
Say again.
Still going to go to work every day. You still got to support your family, correct?
That's not what Nathan is saying. I don't think. I
I'm
see where
saying that-
Nathan's going with.
Well, okay, let's take that example. You have to look after your family. Well, in a world where it's all kind of for nothing, there's no real consequences to you neglecting your family, is there?
What do you mean by that? Consequences?
Well, I mean, it's two worldviews. I know it's going to come back to what I was like brushing past, which is the creation that you're immediately leaning on when you say who's in charge. Well, Jesus is in charge as opposed to you. Who's making that racket? Neil.
That was me. I'm sorry.
So, I've completely lost my train of thought now.
So it's
Jesus being Lord.
different.
Right,
two
how does it
different
change your
worldviews.
world outlook? Well, if you've got a world outlook that has nothing at the end of it, then most things are going to be inconsequential. So last week when I was talking about people who come to the realization that they've been deceived about their world view, that would be endless soup of nothing versus created world and isolated world. Well, those two things give you a very different world view and may very well change your decisions, where you might not care about something in the past, hurting your neighbour. If we're going to use a Christian example, you may very well care if you think that you might be judged for it. Now,
Indeed.
I'm not saying that that is the point I'm making when it comes to where the buck stops in terms of who you view as an authority, because all that is another layer of something that you're perceiving and could go into forever and find the hidden hand and the man behind the curtain and all that stuff in that rabbit hole. I'm saying that once you appreciate that this is just who is telling the stories as opposed to are the stories right? Well, when you start assessing whether or not the stories are right, that's when you have basically taken ownership of your own reality. Now, most people don't want that. They want to lock skeletons in the closet and not really concern themselves with the terrible things they may or may not have done in their past. If they're locked away, they don't have to worry about them. If they suddenly have to put a mirror up to themselves, their own actions, and realise that they are the arbiter of their own existence, that scares a lot of people, and they don't want to know. They just don't want to deal with it. You know, they'd rather know that it's just, as we're told, it's just an empty space of nothing, and that's pretty much all we've got. In other words, life isn't really that meaningful.
Right.
That's why it's so awesome that God. Sorry, that's why it's so awesome that God gave us free will. We need to choose which moral path to take. I mean, if you're not going to believe in a creator, then you're obviously not going to have a moral ground to stand on. So yeah, obviously nothing's gonna matter.
No, what I was trying to say was believing in a heliocentric model or believing, we know the world is flat. That's not going to affect you in a way where an election can, and you become a socialist nation. It is going to affect you directly a lot more than believing in a heliocentric model. That's all I'm trying to say. It's different.
I think Nathan is talking about more broader terms that you're more
I can make
in
it. Not really. I can make it as narrow as you like.
Well,
so, in terms of this particular instance, when you're talking about an election, I'm saying that you're using the correct words that identify where the magic lies. You're talking about how it plays out and who's going to be in authority. And I'm saying that you can go one layer deeper and go, well, the people who are representative of us, that's our elected officials, are they actually in authority? Now, I'm saying that you could go down this route or just appreciate that what you're talking about is who's responsible for the stories. Now, what stories? Well, where's the government funding going for NASA? Well, oh, right, it's just another one of the branches of the stories that they tell that needs money, right? Well, when you realise that, you kind of go, oh, it's shit. It's going to be predetermined how that societal structure is made by whoever is actually in charge, as opposed to the authorities.
No, I'm totally agreeing with you in what you're saying. So let me finish. So the world is running, and it's a stage, and the players are who they are. And then when you realize there's holes in these stories, right? NASA budget, nature, Earth, local politics, the police chief who's been caught embezzling for the last 40 years. I mean, stories on, stories off, stories forever, stories like that. Then your eyes start to open, and things aren't the way that the world wants you to see, because you're actually seeing for the first time the deception and all the different cast and the players within this bigger story that everyone's bought. So then you go to a family member or a friend and you say, hey, did you know that they're lying to us about da 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 and this and that? And they're not. There's no way that they'd be lying. And so all of a sudden you find yourself off the stage, looking at people on the stage where you were before, believing such stories. And you're saying, wait a minute.
Or just looking at the people. So then you start to assess, well, okay, most people would assume, as you've described, your Joe Blogg's neighbour, says most people are decent. And I'd agree. I have that general assumption. But when you look into, well, who are the bad people? Who are the people who actually run the world? Well, they're the people in the very smallest percentage of people that have no empathy. Because they are the people that rise to the top. They are the cream in our society. So when people describe psychopathy, most people perceive that as a derogatory term, and that's precisely how it's played out. It's actually spun into being often a different area of mental health problems. When people say psychotic, they assume murderer, and that might be the case in some instances, but most of the time not the case, because the intelligent psychopaths with no empathy aren't going to get caught and thrown in jail. They're not stupid, but they still lack empathy. They're still psychopaths. Now, the they live example, most people don't recognise that layer of, whatever you want to call it, showing what's behind the curtain to a degree. Well, that is what they're showing you in that movie. They're showing you the smaller percentage of people who are psychopaths. And they even describe it at one stage in the movie when they're saying that the highest concentration of them are in the banks, right? And up in one particular part, the high society part of the city. Well, that's because those are the people, the monsters, they're being portrayed as monsters. That's the people who are actually in charge of things. Your boss that's a complete bastard, he's a psychopath. That's how it works. They're the ones who rise to the top. They don't give a crap who they're going to tread on to get there, because they have no empathy for anybody. So you end up with a situation where we are being governed and run by psychopaths. Those are the people who are in charge. And they don't care. They have no empathy. And in the Western world, they make up 5% of the population. Like 1 in 20 people. Some estimate it much higher, but, to err on the lower side, 1 in 20 people. That's a huge, significant number. And obviously there's varying degrees of psychopathy based normally on intelligence. But ultimately speaking, the more intelligent ones still lack empathy and do rise to the top. That is matter of fact. So while some people might view it as some sort of handicap or something that needs treatment or something that's, no, quite the contrary. They do better than we do. That being normal people with empathy. The people without actually do better. So far from being a handicap, they do all right. So for all the people who dive into psychopathy and see smear campaigns and triangulation and mirroring and gaslighting and all these other terms that go with it, these are all translatable into general societal terms. How is our psychopathic society structured? Well, just look at how psychopaths actually behave, and you'll get a pretty good idea when you then look at how it's filtered its way down into general society and how we have to then deal with what they decide is going to happen, and they are just dictating this stuff. So, you know, that's for a different day. We're going to start in 2 or 3 minutes, but, you know, psychopathy was by far and away... Go on.
That's why Simpsons can predict so well.
I had 3 people all at once. 10th, you go first.
Yeah, totally agree. This is where we get our scriptures that talk about these people, the psychopaths, are their father, the devil, and then describes all the things you just said. So, yes, I totally agree with that.
Right.
I second that.
So the world is run by... the world is run by psychopaths. The person who highlighted that to me first was a guy called Thomas Sheridan, who I actually had the privilege of interviewing. And he moved off psychopathy. You know, he got sick of the subject and was just like, look, I've done tours, I've done lectures, I've wrote books, I've run my entire YouTube channel about psychopathy. I'm not talking about it anymore. I'm going to move on to different subjects. Fine, you know, people want to move on once they've covered a subject to death, which is totally understandable. But I caught him right at the tail end. I interviewed him just as he was stopping doing that. Obviously, he still talks about aspects of it in his other topics that he covers. But he's actually I won't go into detail about that. Name? Go on.
What was his name?
Thomas Sheridan.
Yeah, because John Lennon said that like in 1970 that the world is run by psychopaths.
Yeah, and it is. He's not wrong. But it's not looking to the authorities, although many of them are in that category. You know, it's looking to a type of person in terms of how we have what we have in society, as opposed to whether or not you vote or... I don't know. I don't think any of those things are really relevant to it. I think that's part of the act. The performance. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Neil, 10th Man, Flatzoid, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon.
Ni hao.
Good afternoon. I'll have to hustle a few people off mute in Discord. I don't think I've actually been paying too much attention. Let's just check. I know, I have been. Yeah, we'll get straight on with housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from the shores of a beach in the Bahamas.
Yeah. Well, I
How
heard
do you-
this story the other day about boats going over the horizon again.
The horizon's not a
And how
physical.
does that happen?
It's not a physical
I
geometric
don't know. They
sphere
keep
edge.
on bringing it back up.
How do you measure something that's not physical?
You reify it into reality.
Hey, I told Nathan the other day I had a boat, and every time I tried to go over the horizon, it kept moving from me.
So not actual then?
Yeah, not actually. I can never catch up with it.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
None whatsoever.
I don't feel spinny, no.
That to me is the funnest part of this whole topic we have is when I talk to normies about the Earth rotating, and they have to admit that, no, my senses don't pick up that we are spinning right now. And I go, so then who told you it was, and what proof did they give you? We're back to grade school when I challenged my teacher about it.
Yeah.
Who knew that one day you'd be not challenging the teacher on it, but challenging the world on their belief that we spin?
I'm telling you, I am smiling from cheek to cheek. I'm excited to be where I'm at.
Yeah, it's so nice to know we're not the one making stupid claims.
See, I knew back then as a kid I was right, but I had to go through school and put up with the garbage. But now, to be able to be on the front lines and going back to that young age when it happened to me, I feel so vindicated that it's almost like I'm prepared for this from that time, because I remember that so clearly, how they shut me down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same similar situation happen to me when I was a child.
That's
Share it.
Oh, nothing. Just holding on to the fact that this just can't be, and just fighting it all the time, and the teacher just constantly, this is how it is, and yeah, I mean, I just grew up knowing something was wrong. There's, I've been into conspiracy my whole life, so.
Well, with me, it was even worse. Oh, sorry. Continue.
I don't think you're interrupting anyone, Arwin.
I think he was continuing. Were you?
No, I'm done.
Okay, sorry. Right. Yeah, with me it's even worse because for me, I originally remember all these moments like I'm bad because people told me they were bad, and I was very vulnerable to the idea of peer pressure. Right? So I remembered not even knowing the content of why, but just like, yeah, I'm this stupid kid that gets wrong, and everybody hates me and all that, like from one perspective. But now I have much more clear memory of what actually happened there, what was talked about. And now I realize, like, damn, I was just in a very tight position and I was unable to deal with that I was there. I didn't want to be me in this world.
What the hell's going on?
But now,
No,
but now I do.
We're in the middle of flat Earth debate, and you're discussing your childhood, and this isn't a therapy session. What's going on?
I'm actually talking about the argumentations at the time.
Could you
I
make
would
that a bit
have
clearer?
conflict with teachers and shit. Very young already, from what I was taught by my parents, who were like really trying to pour in high level logic in me. And yeah, they would shame me for it. And then I would feel stupid. I would even like doubt what my parents were saying because I was just shamed so bad because of it. So I had a lot of issues with the globe and all of this and the lies of the world. I couldn't accept they were lies because the punishment was too high. So yeah, I was like a baller like that. And I felt like, yeah, I was just stupid as a kid. Now I'm more adapted. And now I woken up to flat earth and realized like, no way, it's the exact other way around.
Gotcha. Finally,
Well, it didn't really bother
contextualised
me
it.
though.
Yeah, you contextualize it at the end with the globe with one word, but that's all I was looking for. Because up until that point, it just sounded like you were looking for a bit of therapy about how your childhood was.
Yeah,
No, I was tracking with Arwen. I think what he said is happening to a lot of people.
indeed.
That could be right.
There
Yeah.
was a psychotherapist in 24/7 earlier.
Exactly. They're in need of therapy. That's why I said it's like this isn't. We're not here to counsel these people, or Arwen for that matter. Although he's not seeking that,
We're
he's
here
just
to
making an
blast
example.
them.
No, we have to convert them.
that's
No, we
very
don't.
smart.
Oh god. Right, we'll get into that in a minute after housekeeping. Shout out to that flat fellow for the sunglasses. Really appreciate it. Where are we? Distance to the sun.
None of that.
No,
What is it?
can't be measured.
Well, how do you measure something? You have to first assume something to be able to measure it. Not really anything you can because it keeps moving.
Only a Kepler maniac said he measured it.
A Kepler maniacs. That's class.
And how did this Kepler
This is where I
maniac
get the-
measure it?
There's a fine line with puns, right, between absolute genius and no, it just doesn't work. Now, Kepler maniacs almost doesn't work, which is what makes it genius. And he's
This is when the ballers pop up and say sextants.
That's how he went about measuring it, this Kepler maniac?
Measured it. Nobody measured it.
Needed
Hey, chocolate.
size and put
We got it. We got a distance, 93 million miles away. I learned it in
Calculation.
school.
That's a
they're assuming
calculation.
R. They're assuming R for Venus and Earth.
So my teachers lied to me, Nathan.
They were
No.
like to.
No, they had no intention to deceive you. They were just doing their job. So no, they didn't lie to you. They were just wrong.
Oh yeah, according to you, I should have realized when I was learning my 1, 2, 3s and ABCs that when he dropped this heliocentric model on me, that I was supposed to figure it out.
That's correct. When you were 3, you should have realised that it's just a philosophy. Ask the right questions. I mean, what's wrong with you?
Not
Oh,
that bright in
gosh.
Brooklyn.
That was great.
You're not questioning this stuff at 3, then there's no hope. I'm sorry, we're all lost. Well, yeah, that's why we were all lost, right? That's precisely why. And that's
Oh gosh.
and that's the reason why you're told at 3, so that you don't question it and say, "Hang on a second, what do you mean model? Isn't this a reification fallacy based on a false dichotomy? If I could bring up anything about flat Earth, no, you're not going to say that at 3 years old, are you?"
No, Nathan's like, oh, by the way, Earth's a globe, and here's a lollipop for you.
Oh, the tricks.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope.
You cannot have scientific validity of concepts.
Well, I think the most important thing is assessing what they mean by gravity and then just tearing it apart from that point. So yeah, no scientific evidence for something that happens in nature and they put a label of gravity on it to support a globe that doesn't exist.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Nope.
No, not even a null.
Yeah, I've had a lady contact me about doing sticks and shadows, and she's laid it out for me and keeps calling it an experiment. I won't name and shame her at this stage. I've had 2 or 3 emails with her so far, most of them very stroppy from my side, as I'm saying, no, this isn't science. What's the hypothesis? And in her most recent email to me, she said, "What do I have to do to gain your trust?" And I could have just went into a blind rage, but I just responded by email instead.
Oh,
It's like,
Told you.
yeah, it's like you don't need to gain my trust. You need empirical evidence, and you keep calling what you're doing scientific. You keep calling it an experiment. So give me the hypothesis. It's just that simple.
Did she read how to debate the flat earther? Because it sounds like from the
I was
playbook.
just gonna say it. See, they depend on that trust, man. You don't have that trust, your model doesn't work. Just trust us, man.
Yeah, I asked her for a hypothesis. Did she give me one? No. She asked me what she needs to do to gain my trust. I'm not even joking.
What was the observed phenomenon that she initially came and shared?
All the questions I've been asking, I laid it out when she said, what do I need to gain your trust and support in this scientific endeavour? I'm paraphrasing. She didn't say that. Nevertheless, she kept using the word science. She kept claiming she's doing an experiment. So I kept asking for the hypothesis. And I even laid out in the first attempt to get that from her what it was. I'm like, IV, independent variable. That's your presumed cause of the effect. DV, the phenomenon you're studying. And a null. That's it. Other than control variables, which I think are listed. So I'm like, that's what I want. I want a scientific prediction, a hypothesis. What are you observing? What do you think the cause is? What's the null? And then we're golden. What's the response? Literally, that was what I said. And the response to that was, what do I need to do to gain your trust? Because you're telling me I'm doing pseudoscience. That's what she said. I'm like, yeah, it is. Until you give me a hypothesis, it's just pseudoscience. Look up pseudoscience, woman. I didn't get that stroppy with her in my reply, but that's what I felt like saying. Go and look up what pseudoscience says. A non-adherence to the scientific method. And I'm asking you for step 2. And you haven't given it me. You're asking me for your trust. My God. No viable hypotheses from any of those fields?
Well, asking you for validation when the method is not you. The method is the method. It has nothing to do with Nathan Oakley.
Maybe she did read that article. Just gain their trust. It's like, also, look up how a confidence trickster works.
yes.
Moving on. Bad gravity.
Well,
Any
I wonder
evidence
if she did read that article.
Probably. I don't know. I have no idea what these people do. I'm not going to divine her thoughts. I just know what she's
Well,
telling
these
me.
articles are handed out as legitimate study work by this whole group. So, yeah, to us it's absolutely preposterous, but to them it's like they do study it. A lot of them.
Well,
I must
she's legitimately following its instruction, which is to. You can't argue with flat earthers about evidence. Well, it's not about evidence and arguments. It's about building trust. So that's what she's doing with Nathan. She's building trust. Maybe she hasn't figured out he would trust her a lot more if she would just give him the hypothesis that he was asking for, but who knows? Who knows?
Trust is irrelevant when you've got science. Science is empirical. She's going to give me some empiricism. That would be validated science. Given that she's telling me she's doing an experiment, then that's what you need. I don't need to trust her if she's got science. She doesn't need to trust me. Empiricism negates all requirement for trust. That's science. That's why it's in effect. That's why it's a useful method. That's why we're asking for it. And you keep telling us you've got science, don't you, Globers? You keep telling us how science has proven this. And you've got none. We point out that you've got pseudoscience, ask you for a hypothesis, and the reply is, how can I get you to trust me? Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
No.
Black Swan.
Is there any other?
Is that John? Go ahead, John. Or you slipped off the push to talk button.
Is there any way to measure R without measuring the non-physical horizon in their paradigm?
They also say they do it from space.
How would you know there's an R to measure in the first place without assuming first it's a ball?
Correct. Chocolate. But he just asked specifically, do they claim any other measurements? Yeah, from a second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum.
So everything's just a fallacy. to them, and they just keep circling back to another fallacy.
Yeah.
Or it's the trust fallacy.
Well, when your whole model starts and ends with presupposition, I mean, what are you left to do?
Presuppose it and just get the trust of the person, so that when you tell them that you're presupposing it, like with sticks and shadows, well, we're assuming we're on a spherical surface when we take these measurements. Again, I pointed that out to this particular individual whose name I won't divulge at this stage. Again, completely ignored. Yeah, you're assuming a sphere though, aren't you, with this? She's like, how am I assuming a sphere? I'm like, give me the maths.
Was she also going to assume the nature of the sun? Or, like, how is that going to work?
If it was science, it would have a hypothesis, it would have a phenomenon. You know, this is none of those things. This is observe and declare, make up a little just so story, do a bit of maths, insert an R value, that would be Chocolate's point, a presupposition that the Earth's a sphere to begin with.
Hey Nathan,
Yeah.
if people are responding to you like, why don't you trust me? You could say, as a very dry rebuttal, why are you ignoring me?
Again, that's exactly what I did say, Arwin. I pointed out the amount of times I'd asked her for the hypothesis in my email exchange with her. I think it was 6 or 7, something like that, but I put the number like I do in chats, right? Yeah, that's about the 6th time I've asked you and you've ignored me, right? Where's the hypothesis? That's all I care about, given that you've told me this is science.
Yep.
It's a bit, or much like the Coriolis argument, where they insist that the Earth is turning underneath objects. But then when we say, but we don't ever see that in reality. And so, well, why don't you just trust us? It's happening. It's this way. I mean, none of their claims, like R should be at 1.22 miles at 1 foot observer height, that's not there. Earth turning underneath anything not attached to it, well, that's not there. So you don't have to take a big step of study to figure out that they have no proof for any of the stuff. It's all a presupposition, like Chocolate said.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container for all the fundies who think the sky is a vacuum?
Possible.
Nope.
Can't even have a vacuum without a container.
This is when they pop up and say gravity, and then you ask them to demonstrate it, and they can't demonstrate it. So obviously not, because the concept cannot overcome entropy, and in reality, we have gas pressures to breathe. So you obviously have containment.
Yep. Gas cannot settle in an infinite container.
I've been reading up on room acoustics to bore all my Patreons who've had non-stop videos about it, but one of the recent diagrams I came across from an acoustician was sort of debunking some of the claims people make about pressure with sound. And one of the claims that a lot of people who sell this equipment will make is that the pressure gathers in the corners, right? Total nonsense, right? So this guy, I might even put it up on tomorrow's show if I can screen grab it. I'll go back and find it. He's got these pictures of these basically gas molecules, right? And he's showing all of them at one end of the room in the corners with little angry faces, and then showing the other end of the room, and he writes vacuum. It's like, this isn't how gas behaves. And then he shows the next diagram. This is how gas behaves. And he shows it evenly distributed throughout the room. It's like, that's how the air behaves. It doesn't gather up in corners. You know, he's trying to explain this as an acoustician with pressure, because that's what they're dealing with, right? Low frequency energy. It's just pressure. And the way it behaves is consistent. And we know it. It's very well documented. It just cracks me up that in a completely separate field, this guy's having to fight against people in the industry that's got a lot of voodoo in it. That would be acoustics, saying, no, pressure doesn't gather places. That's not how it works. You know, standing waves are a completely different description, but it's not stuff gathering up in corners, a whole load of angry gas particles going, we're high pressure.
Does this got to do with musicians?
Yeah. So if you've got waves, i.e. frequencies, at a specific set number of cycles per second in a given room space, if you've got, I don't know, 20 hertz, it's like 40 foot long. Well, most people's lounges aren't big enough. So if you're going to convert a bedroom or a lounge or whatever into a studio, the first thing you need to be concerned about is the fact that most of your frequencies don't fit in the room. Well, what happens when that happens is they bounce off one wall and then complete the wave going the other way and either cancel or reinforce. So you get what's called destructive interference or constructive interference, which creates peaks and dips in the response. Well, that's technically boring as all shit, considering we're talking about the nature of the world. But the point is, it's not a load of gas pressure gathering up somewhere. It's the waves, and we're talking about literal waves, the movement of the air, and where those two frequencies cross over, you get a dip or you get a peak. Well, that's not gas pressure moving its way into a corner or moving anywhere. It's just two waves crossing over where you get a dip or you get a peak. It's much more simplistic than people saying, oh, you got to treat your corners because that's where the pressure gathers. Complete horseshit. Anyway.
There would be a lot of dead musicians in the other corner.
Sorry, who is that in Discord? Go ahead.
I said, what on earth are you talking about?
Don't worry your pretty little head about it. Any evidence that we can have a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, just drawings and books. More trickery.
Now I'm in the mood for some curry. Mm-hmm.
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius? Did we cover that already? I think we did.
Yep.
I think that's it then. We've covered all the housekeeping questions.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Happy days indeed.
At least I've got
2020 sure dealt a big blow to the heliocentric model in so many ways. We're going to have a good end of the year show, I believe. Reminiscing.
Yeah, 2020 has been a good year for Flat Earth in terms of the progression that the argument's made. But there's been lots of other distractions. So from a YouTube point of view, from my perspective, it's been a terrible year. I've had to... I looked at my stats last night. Bit miserable as a result of this. So I did a big push, put out a load of videos because I could see that the month before had been terrible, which is this month's pay, which is awful. But I won't get into that. It's very depressing for people watching. The point is, the month prior or last month, I put in a lot more work to compensate. I'm like, okay, there's a decline in interest. I keep a very close eye on my stats. So I did more work to compensate it for it. And then I looked at the end result in terms of financial gain. $1. It's like, you've earned $1 more this month. I'm like, oh my God. And then I was explaining to my wife, I was like, yeah, but if I hadn't have done all that work, things would be a lot worse than they are. And they're already bad. So, you know, it's worth putting in the extra work to not do horrendously, just do badly, you know, or $1, which is okay. So there we go. So a lot more work to generate a limited amount more interest because there's loads of other subjects. I totally understand what the score is. You know, 2020's been, for your average Joe, probably quite a traumatic year. Not for me. I'm worried about it in the slightest. But for most people, they've been terrified most of the year. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, that's
you might have to get a real job, Nathan.
I mean, real job. This is a real job.
I'm talking.
Why are you insulting me?
I do YouTube and I have a real job.
That's fascinating.
You're a piece of shit.
I couldn't care less what you do.
It's not that
Nobody was asking
really.
What you do.
It's not
Nobody
that
asked
difficult.
you. Nobody asked.
You
Nobody
made
cares.
$1. You made $1 this year, and you've got a family.
I made $1 more than the month before. Try and pay attention.
Is this something I get glassed
Vacuum, are you masochist?
when I go outside?
Are you
Do we have
masochist?
to put up with this troller? Can we just get rid of him now?
Vacuum, are you masochist?
Oh,
Maybe he brought
ignoring you,
proof of
mate.
his glow today.
You're ignoring me.
And maybe we
Are
should
you
celebrate.
masochist, man? Are you masochist? Or not? You can say I'm not.
I'm not going to know what a masochist is.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting
just
to answer. Does
Googling it
tea
now.
get cold?
Yeah, I knew
You don't
it.
know what is
I
masochist?
knew it. He's having to
Oh my
Google it.
God.
At least he's honest. Shout out to Samson for the super chat. Put his one finger in the air. Is that like what you do in an American?
I will tell you. That is the reason why you are here. You're torturing yourself.
Okay.
How does Nathan's income prove a sphere? Like, is there a way
hold on a
to
second.
associate Nathan's?
Yeah, you could direct that equally towards me, though, John. It was me talking about it, so careful. You know what I mean? It was me that brought it up.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, don't upset
It's unrelated.
Nathan.
is what
Don't
I'm
upset
saying.
Nathan, whatever you do.
Only loosely related because I've done more work on the subject. So it's loosely related as that's specifically what I cover. So therefore, my earnings on a subject I cover, when it's what I do, first and foremost as a YouTuber, not really related to Flat Earth. If you distance yourself from it and say, well, I do YouTube too. All right, do you cover this subject? If not, it's not related. We don't care.
Wouldn't you like to know, Nathan?
I don't. You think I'd like to know, you bloody gamma male? We covered this. You think we're all deeply concerned about what you do. None of us care. You bloody gamma male. Yeah, keep telling yourself that what you do and who you are is secretly really important to everybody when literally none of us care.
Literally.
I don't care. I wish he wasn't even here right now.
Yeah, he thinks we're all really
Yeah,
concerned
I
about what he
agree.
does. We're not.
It's only vacuum. Nathan,
I like the way you say
Maybe
my
he
name.
brought some
Yeah.
proof of globe today. I don't know.
it's nice name. It's vacuum. You know, it's the
No, I was being serious. I
is-
do like the way you say it.
yeah, it's the thing that don't exist. You know.
Okie dokie then.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, and I
tell
thought
us
this was an
Borderline seems
ironic.
like-
But how
Hold
you
on a second, just
exist?
refresh it.
Sounds like these two have something going, Nathan.
I very nearly
Is it
exist.
funny? Is it funny?
Still
Is it
looking at
funny?
my Discord line. Weird.
How to be?
Going on right now.
Me, my preamp died. I thought it was
Phone
the,
warning next time.
I thought it was the PC. It was actually my
Okay.
preamp. Sorry.
Maybe it's the vacuum.
Hey, Adam.
I wondered what had gone off there, Nathan. I thought I'd join in. It's
What's up, Adam?
Do you
That's only
have?
ever- That's only ever happened once before, and that happened in the middle of Globebusters. So when I went on Globebusters, that same exact thing happened. The preamp died, and I couldn't hear them talking. So that's anyway. I've just figured it out.
I remember that.
Yeah, they were saying stuff to me, and I didn't know. And then suddenly I realised, oh shit, the preamp's died. So I just quickly pulled out the plug, turned it back off and on again or whatever, and then it came back on, and I could hear them. And they're like, "Can you hear us? Can you hear us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry."
Did that
Yeah, I
preamp have
remember it.
vacuum tubes in it?
No, you do get.
Okay.
That is the type of preamp I'm talking about, though. Look, be careful. We'll get criticised for talking about hi-fi. Definitely not related to Flat Earth. Although I do use it to produce the show, and it's about Flat Earth, so you know what I mean. Hey, hang on a second. It's Tuesday. How come you're here, Adam?
well,
Yo.
I've just had enough. Everything's locked down, so I thought I'd come and join you guys. There's nobody about, and so I've had a busy morning, and then I was just listening, and I thought need for Dr. Fraser to come in. Our vacuum's here, so I thought I'd just turn up in case we need any more help.
Dr. Fraser, welcome.
Get him. Man.
He's
I'm
telling me
waiting for
about
the
your mother.
analysis into my psychology.
He's back to thinking we're interested
Yeah.
in
You
him and his
cannot live
thoughts.
without Nathan, man. And you're a masochist. You don't like him.
Has
You
he
know?
figured
You're
out how to
torturing
get told
yourself
yet?
every day. You're coming here and you want to say something about Nathan or blah blah
It's
blah.
not every day,
again.
is it?
No, it's every second day. Man,
No,
it's
no,
torturing yourself.
yesterday was the
You are
first
going
time for a
somewhere
few
you
weeks,
when you
actually.
don't like, but you are going somewhere where you don't like every second day. Wow, that's super masochism.
I actually love coming here. It's brilliant.
I thought you
Great.
said
I
you come
told you
because
that you are
bored.
masochist.
Yeah, you're a slippery wanker.
Especially
You're
with
not
your
doing
arguments, you know.
You don't do
I had to
yourself any
explain,
favors.
Nathan,
Especially with
that's
your
not right.
arguments.
Hold on, one at a time.
I'm a lubed up wank.
You
No
know,
need, please.
your
No, that-
argument is the best.
no need.
Yeah, you're not doing yourself any favors, dude. Just keep
So
your mouth shut.
Do you have anything? Is it on topic?
What are you
Vacuum, in
basing that on, Ryan?
seriousness? Did you actually have
Are
a
you
purpose?
divining my reasons for coming
No,
here?
I'm asking. Do you have an actual purpose on topic or not?
I can't
Like
actually
proof
remember
that
what
you
I was
live on a
talking about,
magical
Nathan, I
spinning water
apologise.
ball,
There you go.
something like that.
Flat Earth.
Hold on,
Globe
Sasha.
Earth.
Hold on.
Oh no, we were talking about your YouTube channel, weren't we?
Now Chocolate's just asked
What?
you a question, though. Go ahead, Chocolate. Do you want to repeat it?
Yeah, Nathan, I asked you if you have any purpose here that's on topic, like any, I don't know, any proof of us living on a magical spinning water ball flying around in the vacuum. Got anything like that?
Well, I do, but earlier I was responding to Nathan's talk about his YouTube channel and his income. So it was
The
on
YouTube
topic.
channel is about flat
If
Earth.
you're gonna be fair to
So,
me.
do you have any proof that it's not flat? Like we live on a ball. You have anything like that?
Yeah, I've got plenty.
Oh, hook us up, man.
No, because it wasn't on topic. We were talking about Nathan's income. So I
We are
commented on
talking
his
about
Well, I
that.
just brought the fucking
I
topic
think
back
that's
to
Just
where it's
chocolate.
supposed to be.
Yeah, you're
Hello. Just chocolate. Just vacuum. Thank you.
Yeah, I just brought the topic back, so instead of keep reverting back to what you were talking about like 5 minutes ago, can we get to how you prove that we live on a magical spinning water ball? Please.
Can I prove we're living on a magical spinning water ball? If that's
Yes,
not a
sir.
loaded question, I don't know what is.
Okay. Do you have
If
any
you can ask
proof
me a
that
question
we
that's
live
not
on
loaded,
a
I might answer.
globe? Is that better for you?
You didn't catch that.
I
You just-
haven't personally done any research, like physical research, but there's plenty of evidence out there. I'm not going to sort of insult your intelligence and point you to
Have you managed to figured out if tea gets cold yet?
it.
Let's
Oh,
just try and
do you
move
want me
this
to answer
along.
that
Sorry,
seriously
Chocolate's asked you
again?
for evidence. You've said you're not going to insult our intelligence by giving us the evidence, but there is evidence out there. No, we don't take it as an insult. Just tell us what your evidence is that you rely on, if any. If not, we'll just assume you don't have any because you're not presenting anything.
I don't have anything new to this channel, is my point.
Okay, fair enough.
Wait, are you suggesting that now
Thanks, Nathan.
not you are the secret king, but we are the secret king and we are withholding the evidence that you want and are convinced is out there now? This is very confusing.
No, I think it speaks to my earlier point that I made. Was it yesterday or the day before, actually? That it's just very boring. You just go over the same things. Just move on. Let's talk about something
Yeah,
interesting.
because we seem to ask these
At least
questions and none of you
Nathan's
guys have
income
any
was
responses
really
to them.
interesting.
Everyone,
That's
hold
why
on.
it's
Nathan,
boring.
why you don't give
Hold
him
on,
the
Sasha. Hold on,
feeling?
vacuum. Hold on. Chocolate's responding to you. Just listen. Hear him out. Go ahead, Chocolate.
I wasn't interrupting him.
Go ahead, Chocolate.
It's all right. It's all right, man. But it's because we ask these questions every day, and none of you guys seem to have any coherent responses to them, and any proof to back them up.
Yeah, so move on. You've won. You've obviously won. So move on.
So what?
If there's no coherent answers to your questions, you've won. So let's move on to something interesting.
Oh,
So it's flat.
yeah.
Well, if no one can answer your questions and they're valid questions, then that would point towards it being flat. So I agree. So now what do you do?
We keep going.
Are you asking the
Exactly,
same
but
questions?
you don't keep going. You keep asking the same
do you
questions
have-
every
do you
day
have
and
the
talking
same
about
questions
same
that we
crap
have?
every day.
Do you have the same questions that we have?
I want to know the truth. I want to know what's out there, Chocolate.
There it is.
You lot obviously don't.
There it is.
You're
He's in the
hung
same
up.
boat as us. There
Yeah.
it is.
Welcome to flat Earth, son.
Yeah, you're in the same boat as us then. Got a lot of questions.
So welcome to Flat Earth. Now
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Now what do we do?
We?
What we do?
Yeah.
Sorry, we.
Oh, what are you going to do? Don't look at me to guide your life.
What I do is I
This
run a
is deja
debate
vu
show
from a
daily
month
about the
ago.
subject. That's what I do. And people like yourself may come along realise that there's no answers to the questions in regards to the proof of heliocentrism, and then realise the Earth is flat as a result. Now, had I not been doing it because someone like you came along 6 months ago, 12 months ago, whenever you came along, and said, well, now I know that they've lied to me, and all I want is more answers, your old debunkings of something that 99% of the Western world still believe is useless to me. So, yeah, now you're in the same boat as us. What, we don't have the answers beyond destroying the current claims? No, we don't. Maybe you could do something about that, rather than saying, we should do more. No, I'm doing precisely what I need to be doing. You, on the other hand, are moaning about how you don't have answers and telling me to give you more, thinking that you deserve them, and you don't.
What exactly are you doing, Nathan?
Just told you. 99% of the Western world think they live on a sphere. And people who come along daily listen to the discussions and come to the conclusions you've come to, which is that there are no answers to these questions that relate directly to proof we're on a sphere in a vacuum. So if there are no questions, as you rightly point out, it's flat. Well, at that point, you've then got a lot of questions and you think they should be answered, and you're here to tell us that we should be answering them. Hilarious. Go and find out for yourself. The world's your oyster, mate. Isn't that wonderful?
That's a really interesting point you've made.
My pleasure. See it for the joy that it is. You don't know. And that's wonderful. Suddenly there's a childlike wonder to the world that you didn't have as an adult.
So you're like a public information in a way.
Or you could say that. On the other hand, some people on the opposing side would view it that no, we are the arbiters of disinformation when we ask for scientific validity, and they'll ask us how they can get our trust in their sphere religion. So that's still happening, mate. People are still debating it. Just because you've realised the obvious absurdity of the nature of reality being spherical doesn't mean that everyone else who comes along... You know, I'm still growing as a channel. New people come every day to this channel.
That's really interesting. Why do you think? Because
I know what the real
I was
reason
messing
is.
before.
Hold on.
You probably know that.
Hold on, Neil. Go ahead.
Why do you
vacuum.
think people don't take what you say on face value? I wonder.
Because they're indoctrinated with a religion, and that religion has cult-like tendencies to lie to people and use confidence trickster that's a lot of syllables. Confidence trickster tactics. No, it's just a hard thing to pronounce. Confidence trickster tactics. Not stuttering, just hard to pronounce, my friend. Anyway, they use these tactics.
Sounds like a stutter to me, sorry.
Oh, really? So what tactics do they use? Can you repeat what I've just said?
No, because you were stuttering throughout.
What confidence trickster tactics? It's just difficult to say. Why are you ad-homing me, personally? I'm just describing how we are swindled. You asked why. Well, at face value, it doesn't comport with their worldview based on a heliocentric model they've been indoctrinated with since birth. That's why. At face value, it's not what they believe in. What do they believe in? It's on screen. Superman flying around a globe. That's what they believe in, because they've seen it at the cinema. So this is what people believe in. So at face value, that's what's in their mind.
You think people base it on Superman?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think your tactics are working, Nathan?
Sorry, you think I base it on Superman? Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, let's move on from that. Do you think the way you deal with flat Earth is working with the vast majority of the population?
I was hoping that would develop into a conversation. So, have you ever seen the view I have on screen for my audience now as depicted in Superman, with the world seen from space as a sphere? Have you ever had that view?
I can't see your YouTube.
I just detailed it verbally.
Are you asking if I've ever watched Superman?
No. Try and pay closer attention. Have you ever seen the world from space as a sphere as depicted in Superman?
I've never watched Superman.
Have you seen the world as a sphere from space? You fucking idiot.
I've seen the world from space.
When have you seen it? From space. When have you been to space?
Well, during my undergraduate degree.
You went to space?
No, I didn't go to space, mate.
So you haven't seen the world as a sphere from space as depicted in Superman, then?
I've seen images of the Earth from space.
Oh, you've seen images comparable to my analogous picture on screen with Superman showing you the world as a sphere, precisely where people get the idea from, then? The images you've seen, you complete clown? Yeah, that would be my point, not whether or not you've seen Smegging Superman. The point is people don't get this view of Earth from space as a sphere, but they get it from the films and movies they're shown, like Superman. Yes, that's where they get the idea from. That's why they don't accept what I tell them at face value, because they think it's possible to have a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, as shown in Superman.
So, to answer my question earlier, do you think your method is working?
My method? What method of what? Be more specific.
Of trying to persuade people.
Trying to persuade people? I ask them to answer questions about their religious faith. And they fail.
You said it was a public service that you were providing, but I'm saying it doesn't really work, your method.
Oh, right.
Vacuum, do you think that Nathan deceiving people? Do you think that Nathan...
No, his method of delivery is what I'm critiquing here.
I
He's not
see.
deceiving
That's
them.
fascinating. Could you do better? Knock yourself out.
Can
I
you
think I
post a
could
link
do
to your
better.
channel so we could see how it's really done, please? Thanks.
No, not yet.
So you don't think I'm doing a good enough job, is what you're saying?
But he's converted you back
Well,
in,
no
hasn't
one
he, as you
seems to
admitted
believe
earlier.
you,
So he's not doing a good
and
job,
you
but a
only
good
made
enough job
$1.
to convert you.
I don't care if you're converted.
You don't seem to get many converts.
I don't care. I
You're
don't care if
one.
you're
Look at the
converted.
success you are. What a glorious success of turning.
You just
turning,
said that was your whole
turning a sheep
objective of
away
this
from the ball.
endeavour. Was
Yeah,
to
to debate
convert
the subject. Because lots of people still think they're on a sphere and they want to debate the subject. So that's
Yes,
what I
but
offer.
I'm saying you're not doing a very good job of persuading them.
Yeah, and on screen now for my audience again is another reason why. So we are in the middle of this particular process on screen for my audience. Get the damn thing to come up. There we go. Oh, why is it doing that? Wrong button. Bear with me. There we go. So you've got the 5 stages of loss on screen, and we're right in the middle at bargaining. Beyond bargaining is depression, then acceptance. Now, most people don't want to go over that little particular hurdle. They'd rather stay in bargaining, indefinitely in some instances, and normally regressing to anger or denial at some stage when they're defeated in their argument, not progressing to depression. Now, do I want to force people to progress along that road to depression? No, I don't care. But the bargaining bit, I've got a whole YouTube channel based on that. You don't think I'm doing a very good job of bargaining my point? You said we won. Well, this subject is still very much up for debate, and yet you think we've won the debate. Oh, well, that's good. Given that I run a show about the debate, that I'm winning. Happy days for me.
Yeah, that does sound kind of silly because you did say we won. Now you're saying it's not working, so you might want to make up your mind.
If you go back and listen to what I said, you probably
I do.
won't
Don't
get the
care.
impression.
I do. I listen very closely to what people say.
No, my point is, you ask these questions every day. You say no one has any answers.
That's correct.
So why don't you move on?
Well, because they
Let's
don't have
talk
any
about
answers and
something
still
else.
believe it's so. We've already covered this. We listened to what you said.
So
Then
that
you went
means
on
you're
to
not
ask us why they don't
persuading them
accept
well
it at
enough?
face value. now while I repeat the exact same answers you've clearly ignored, you've chosen to talk through them while I repeat them. So we've covered this. We listened and responded to what you said. Now, we also justified why you're asking, which is to say that now you've come to the realisation that there are no answers from the heliocentric worldview that 95% of the Western world hold, still, and are still debating about it. Think we're the idiots wrong, they think? Yet they don't appreciate that we're right. There's still a debate. Well, isn't it handy? I've got a debate show. That's handy, right? With some longevity attached to the show, clearly. But because you, Gamma Male, have realised this, you feel that we need to move on to answer questions you now have. We've established several shows ago, you're a Gamma Male. You think this is all about you. It's not. Sorry to disappoint you. Maybe go out and find some answers for yourself.
Wasn't the Hulk
back
Gamma
in,
Male?
just
I know we were talking about superheroes, but
well, just to bring it back to your critiquing, you were saying, you're converted, and I think we'll all raise a glass to see another soul saved this evening after your confession. Congratulations. But unfortunately, the show does have to go on because Nathan's still got over 6 billion to work on, hasn't he? So, like I say, I'm chuffed that you are, but maybe don't view this all about yourself as Nathan's highlighting. There are other people on the face of the earth, aren't there, other than yourself, that still need waking up. Even though I'm well chuffed that you are no longer being blinded by this nonsense. It's great news, but we've got to crack on something, haven't we?
you've gone from Fraser Crane to
maybe you could be
John the
constructive.
Baptist, Adam.
You what, mate?
Just let him respond. Go ahead, vacuum.
I said you've gone from Fraser Crane to John the Baptist there. You were talking about Nathan.
You're
as if
being
he was
disingenuous,
Jesus
Vacuum.
Christ or
Stop it.
something. He's got 6 billion souls to save.
Yeah, that's what I
Come
was thinking.
join me in the River Brothers.
That's the way you're talking, isn't it? Whilst it was effectual for you, you're saying the other 6 billion that you're, clearly showing concern about, wondering how Nathan can reach out a bit more. But maybe you could add some positives. Maybe not just critique, but maybe you could make a suggestion.
A critique isn't necessarily negative.
Well, I was just saying maybe you could do something positive.
Well, if you say it like that,
maybe talk about your experience.
What
how you saw the light.
Well, as I said earlier, I was joking just to make a point.
I think we're giving this guy too much credit. I have one question for you. If you have a screw and a bolt and you put them together, which way do you spin the bolt to get it on the screw?
Is this another T question?
No, we're just establishing your intelligence here. Which way do you spin the bolt?
Which way do you spin the bolt?
Which way do you spin?
What on
Which
earth
way
are you
do you
talking
spin
about?
the bolt?
Is that an impression of me? It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's an impression of you, stupid idiot.
Right, okay, so what's the question?
Answer. Stop, everyone stop. Everyone stop. Eric's asked a question. Just let him answer. Go ahead, Vacuum. Shout out to Chris Berry. I will read you in a sec.
What was the question, sorry?
Look, Eric is joking.
No, he's not. He's asking a question based on logic.
Yeah, I know, Nathan. But if you can say afterwards that he was joking.
You have a screw and you have a bolt. You put them together, and you're going to screw the bolt onto the screw. Which way do you spin the bolt?
Which way do you spin the bolt?
Why do you repeat the question back?
By time.
It just feels like a trap, to be honest.
Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Answer the question.
Don't answer for him. Just let's drag this out as long as Eric wants. Go ahead, Eric. Ask him again.
Okay, you have a screw and you have a bolt. You're going to put the bolt onto the screw. Which way are you going to spin the bolt?
So you put the bolt onto the screw. So it would it go clockwise? I think it goes clockwise.
Epic.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
You say it wouldn't depend on which way you were holding the screw then?
The screws go on to bolts?
It's the nut and the bolt.
I was going to say, there's where we're going with it.
That's a good one. That's good. I've got one for you.
Wow.
Hold on.
What time
I
does Sean
think he's
Connery
missed the point.
get to Wimbledon?
Hold on.
What-
Have you
what
missed the
time
point
does Sean
entirely?
Connery get
That
to
was a test of
Wimbledon?
your logic, which you failed.
10-ish.
Oh, God. That was a test of logic, and you failed. Miserably.
I did. Yeah, sorry. It was a good one. That I'm going to use that
Sean
one.
Connery's dead.
Chris Berry says, can
Yeah,
you
no,
ask
that's why I
him
said
if
it.
his science has been peer-reviewed? Thanks for super chat, Chris Berry. Chris Berry's a YouTuber. Subscribe
No, but
today
it's
to
been
Chris Berry.
Apple reviewed.
Did he say
Subscribe today.
pear or peer?
Did pair.
It's kind of funny.
Pair.
Nathan was shouting somebody out, guys. Come
I
on.
was going to say, Chris Berry's a YouTuber. He makes exceptionally good content. Go and subscribe today. Chris Berry. Big shout out again for the super chat. So Adam's pleased you're on our side now, even though you're obviously not going to face the ridicule of your own side by actually claiming that's real, although there is no other option from you at this point other than to regress into denial or anger. Oh, you have. My bad. Denial.
When have I ever got angry, Nathan?
No, not. I said denial. You just don't listen.
You said denial and anger, didn't you?
Yeah, those are the steps before bargaining. And people regress. You've regressed to denial. Said it was just a joke. That's denial.
No, that was a denial of what Adam said.
Yeah, a denial that you've appreciated that if all the arguments cannot be answered, that we've won, i.e. it's not a sphere, there are no tenable arguments for a sphere, therefore it's not a sphere. Now, you conceded all those points, but then later went on to denial. So you've reached the point where you could move on to depression, realization that your world isn't sphere-shaped. Instead, you regressed to denial. Just a joke, right?
No. Sorry, I misunderstood what you said, Nathan. My qualification of being in denial, you said, was me denying or saying that it was just a joke. Whereas, in fact, my stage of denial is justified by me actually denying the evidence. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, do you deny or do you confirm, which we've already covered, evidence of a sphere? That's Chocolate's question.
Sorry,
First
you
question.
broke up there, Nathan. I didn't hear that.
It was original question from Chocolate. We've just come full circle. Do you have evidence for a sphere to back it, or do you deny that we're on a sphere now? That's the T-junction or whatever, your crossroads that you're at.
Well, like I said before, I can point you to evidence, but you already know this evidence. So I don't personally have evidence that you haven't heard before.
So you can't point us towards evidence. Evidence is proof.
Okay, well, we're just arguing over terms there.
Well, proof. Terms that would prove a religious belief in a sphere. And that, yeah, we're at that crossroads.
Yeah,
yes. Not just, well, it's only the crossroads of whether or not I believe the Earth is a sphere flying through a vacuum or the obvious and observable nature of reality being flat. Yeah, that's the crux of the debate. It seems that while you want us to move on, you're very much in the bargaining stage. Wow, it's a good job we didn't listen to you, gamma males, telling us to move on when you're still at the debating stage.
What is a gamma male?
You think you're the secret king? When you came here telling us all about what you did on your channel like we were concerned? No, we're not. We don't care how you believe. The fact that you think we should move on because you have questions and feel that after asking one of those questions and having them answered like right now, that you should continue talking. That's the type of person you are. You think that what you have to say is more important than the question you've asked being answered by the person you've asked it to. That's why you talk. Yeah? It's pathetic.
And is that...
You think you're the most important person here. The secret king.
Is that an accepted term? Because I'm going to start using that.
Yeah, again, back to what you're going to be doing, because that's secretly really important to everyone who's listening, isn't it? Thank you for making my point.
Oh, wow. That's really good, that, Nathan.
What? Basic psychology? Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize there was a phrase called gamma male, and that perfectly describes what you've just said. I'm not accepting that that's what I am, but
I doubt you would ever accept our description of you being the secret king, because the implication being that as a third party describing you as a secret king, you actually think you're the king of everything. That's how you behave. Like, what you think and how you feel and what you do is relevant to everybody, when in reality it's relevant to no one.
It's relevant to me.
Only you. But you're sharing it like it's of concern to us. It isn't. That might depress
makes
you.
Gamma.
Gamma, yeah.
That makes you a gamma. That's what he's trying to tell you. Shameless plug, Nathan.
QE, we've gone over this, QE.
How dare you? Did you not hear him say shameless plug? Not shameless at all. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Give my shameless plug, please.
I don't know what I'm plugging. What am I supposed to know? You haven't
no, I
me.
was talking to Numpty. So I'll give my shameless plug at 1 p.m. U.S. Central today, 7 p.m. UK. The Odyssey, Fantasy Geodesy, Quantum Eraser channel. Be here, be sphere.
Will there be a panel?
Yes, sir.
Oh, cool. It's a proper live show.
Proper live show.
Excellent. I'll do a proper plug for it then. Be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for a debunking of geodesy. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. Shout out to Colin Dresser for becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member as a lion.
It would have been scrutinized.
I just don't think they got the thread of the question.
Very good. Very good.
On you,
So Nathan.
Yes.
I got this bolt and this screw. Which way you hammer it?
That was a really good one, that.
Hey, Vacuum, how come there's a tendency every time you get in the corner, you say, "Oh, I was just joking"?
I don't know, but 10th man, did you hear my joke before?
No, don't avoid the question. Why is it that whenever you
I agree with you. I do that. Yeah, I do that quite a lot.
Why do you do it?
It's a deep psychological fault. It's a deep psychological fault I have.
No, but why do you do it? Is
more
it because
importantly,
you lack
did
an
you hear
answer?
my joke before?
No,
I think
is
you'll
it
like
because
it.
you lack it. Is it because you lack the answer to the question? It's your escape clause?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Thank you for admitting it, because that's what it sounds like.
But did you hear my joke before, 10th man?
Now he's bonkers.
No, you're not even tracking with what I'm saying. You should be in the state of humility right now, because all you do is come here and troll.
Make a fool of
Yes, that's
yourself.
pathetic.
I agree with everything you're saying. I just want to tell you my joke, 10th man, please.
So what are you going to do since you agree that it's a bad behavior of yours?
Tell jokes.
I'm working on it.
How are you working on it?
By telling jokes.
Does anyone want to hear my joke?
No.
I want to hear what's holding you back.
Oh,
Huey had a reckoning. Nathan had a reckoning. You hear all the evidence. What's keeping you on the ball? Seriously.
Gravity, way.
That's jokes too.
That's the biggest joke.
Yeah. Which
I'm
gravity might that
I'm going
be?
to tell my joke. What
Then we get
time
back to gravity.
does Sean
If
Connery
we
get to
tell a joke,
Wimbledon?
Can you get back to gravity?
I don't want to hear any Sean Connery jokes. It's going to be sick. I don't want to hear it. No, thank you.
Sean Connery?
No, he had a Sean Connery joke, but it was a bunch of racket.
I thought that was a good joke.
it was a great dad joke.
The guy's been dead a day.
It's a
Really?
respectful
And that's
joke.
Sean
I'm not
Connery. He's
said,
ace.
here's a joke about Sean Connery being dead.
Do something, even if it's wrong.
That'll be the next thing he says.
Oh, logical fallacy is better than nothing.
Tim Osman. Logical fallacy is better than nothing.
Classic. Classic.
Oh gosh.
So, yeah, we're at the after show. now.
So since we're not having any jokes
I
in
thought
poor taste, how do you have gas pressure without a container?
You don't.
Oh, I know this one.
How,
I know this
how
one.
is he still breathing then?
Oh, is it not a joke?
That's not a joke. How are you still breathing? If you must have a container with gas pressure, it's a necessary ingredient. How are you still breathing, sir?
He conceded on the live show that he has no defense to any of these arguments.
Oh, he already. I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's pointless.
Sorry about
though,
that.
isn't it? It's pointless. It's pointless having an argument.
Yeah, he's
against it.
retard Ray.
I'll just get Mark Twained. Just get Mark Twained everywhere, don't you?
No, it's just that it's flat. So, welcome to Flat Earth. Snacks in the back.
In the back.
To your left. Yep. Enjoy your stay.
And obviously, if there's not enough new answers for the wondrous questions that you may have, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
With the snacks in the back,
I'm just
equal
trying to
concession.
sort of freshen the debate. You call it a debate show, but it's not really a debate.
You haven't
is it?
asked any meaningful questions. How are you freshening the debate if you're not asking anything pertinent at all?
I didn't say I was. I said I was trying to.
Trying to tell me what I should do? Yeah, we know. You think you should be the arbiter of this show, Gamma Male. We tried to explain it to you.
I thought it was a good show. We had Nathan today.
What, because you were mostly in it? Yeah, I know, Gamma Male.
Yep.
You think it's good because you were in it.
Yeah, I actually do.
That said, I think that every day. Wow, that was a great show. I was in that a lot.
Lucky I'm not running it. I would have booted you a
I
long
actually
time
do
ago.
like you, Nathan.
Sorry. You want to bring this down to a personal level, and every time I even hint at talking about me in the third person, you're going to take it there, so I can only blame myself. Go ahead.
Get it out. Use your words.
Sorry, I think you broke up. Were you asking me a question?
No, just saying, feel free, share whatever pain you have.
Pain? I was saying I really liked you, Nathan.
Oh, that's really sweet. I am totally indifferent to you.
That's fine. I don't mind that. You're like a celebrity, so I know you, but you don't know me.
Jeez.
Repeat.
I have some
Where's Kino at?
This is getting a bit single white female, dude.
mad here that just
Got Dr.
this,
Fraser
this
laughing.
guy's helped me a lot. I now understand why women strike men.
Why women strike men?
That's a good one too.
I never understood it before.
I think we've come a long way
but he's
today.
really helped.
Was
me
that a
see
Johnny?
that
Was that a Johnny Depp
dilemma.
related joke,
I now
Dave?
Understand fully.
Now Dave's clear on it.
Jerk. But it is joke story time.
Oh, has
diversion.
time slowed down?
Time slowed. How can you slow a concept? Bong resin?
You ever been in a car accident?
Concept.
Time seems to slow down when you're in a car accident. I've been in several.
Have you ever tried to boil a
qualify
kettle
as a
and
container,
stand
John?
and watch it?
Hold on, just as you asked about it before we move on.
Have you ever tried to stand on the underneath of a ball?
I only found this out recently, but do you know why? When people say your life flashes before your eyes, there's a reason behind that, which was proven out by a guy who got attacked by a shark. So he described it as follows. So he said that he got attacked, and as described, his life flashed before his eyes. And in that moment, when his life's flashing between his eyes, time is seeming to slow down. He remembered a nature documentary where someone said, if you get attacked by a shark, shove your hand as hard as you can into its gills. And it just flashed before him. He did it. The shark let him go. He lived.
Huh.
So there you go. So
Don't you punch him right in the
Nah,
nose?
that's nonsense.
no, not according to this guy's account.
Okay.
Unless it's my bad memory and I don't remember the account correctly, but that's what I remember of him describing it, and he had big bite marks on him to show where he'd been bit by a shark and that he lived. So I could only imagine he'd be in a goner had he not done that.
Razor sharp.
Say again?
Wouldn't the gills be razor sharp? I guess that's a good. I guess cutting up your hand would be worth it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I see.
My point is that when
I think
time appears to slow down and your life, quote unquote, flashes before your eyes, there is a useful reason behind that.
Sure.
Find some way of figuring out how to get out of the situation, and there might be some useful piece of information buried somewhere. If you can access it very, very quickly, and when that's happening, time seems to slow down. So in my case, when I had a tyre blowout going about 90 and the car flipped over, smashing into various other things, including the reservations and other cars, time definitely slowed down. What do I do? Well, I thought I better let go of the steering wheel. But I had enough time, or perceived to have enough time to think about it and let go, so that as it hit the ground, the steering wheel went like 360 twice. You know, just went grrr, and if I'd have been held onto it, I'd have probably broken my arms. But that, you know, came from somebody saying that if you're ever in a crash, don't hold on to the steering wheel because you'll break your wrists. So in that moment, I let go and went relatively limp, thinking this is going to end badly if I'm tensed up. So I went relatively limp, climbed out of the car, looked at it and went white and almost passed out because I was like, how the hell have I survived this?
You want to know what passed
Do
before
you know what
my
would have
eyes?
helped you more, Nathan?
Oh, God.
Pamela Anderson.
What would have
Stuck
helped
your
you
hands
more
in the car's gills.
if you'd have had the license to drive at 90 on the motorway?
It's all about the timing, Dave. Did you hear that?
When
So
you
I
said
would
you hit into
suggest doing both.
reservations,
Punch it in the nose
what do you
and
mean
stick
by
your
you
hand.
hit reservations? What does that mean?
Nobody caught Dave's joke except me, and it was brilliant.
All right, we'll get to the joke in a second. You said that you hit other cars and other reservations. What do you mean by that?
The central reservation is like a crash barrier, you might call it.
Native American.
Bit that runs down the middle of the highway, stops you going into the
Oh, you
inside.
called that a reservation?
Central reservation, yeah.
Yeah, there's casinos there and everything.
There's people fighting for the land back. No, it's just a strip with a crash barrier.
I had French fries and burgers pass before my eyes in my near death.
Really?
I had to pick up.
You crashed into a McDonald's.
Stop and let me finish my story. I had to pick up Shake Shack before coming home. And on my way home, I must have dozed off and woke up on the side of the road. But I didn't realize that my cruise control was on and I was doing 75. So when I got back on the road, all I had to do was hit the brake, but I was just trying to get control, and then I started flipping. And as I'm flipping, I'm seeing burgers and fries go before my eyes. And when I landed, I was upside down. I'm panicking, thinking the car's going to blow up. So I hit the window to get out, and it's not coming down because I'm upside down and the window's coming up.
Well, at least you had a burger and fries to deal with it.
Yeah,
They all got glass.
That's something they don't tell you. So when the car's all messed up like that, the doors don't open. So I didn't end up on the roof, thank God. But nevertheless, the car itself was all like a broken bean can, and you couldn't get the doors open. So I had to climb out the window, the smashed window.
I gotta say, Neil's recollection sure gives a new meaning to fast food.
Crazy.
Nathan, when you were flipping through the air, did you actually flip or did you seem to flip?
You're going to ask me if there is any Coriolis deviation, right? I know what's coming.
Was there any Coriolis?
I knew it. Yeah, the crash barrier seemed to come towards me, then it actually came towards me, then the car hit it. So, yeah, although the crash barrier wasn't coming towards me, the car was going towards it. There was definitely an impact as I drifted towards the crash barrier. But that's what
you
drift
guys
is,
call
right?
them crash barriers?
Oh, God.
Because I didn't hit any of them. I guess where I dozed off, I missed it totally, didn't have any there. And where God decided to put the car down, there wasn't any. So it was kind of like a miracle because they're everywhere else but there.
Aren't they a safety feature? Aren't they supposed to stop you going off the road, though? Well, I suppose
but then I would have hit one in full impact. I don't think that would have went well.
Yeah, they're designed for that.
Well,
Very
I guess
expensive.
God had to fix it wherever they messed up. So anyway, it was like I was picked up and put over there.
One of those things you don't really think about until you have a major accident, and then the insurance company tells you that obviously they're then footing the bill for all of the impact damage along the motorway. And they're telling you how much it costs you, like, holy Jesus, that's a lot of money. Because they're taking out the insurance.
Mine was a rental. Mine was a rental.
Mine was a rental. Mine was a courtesy car.
Nice.
Did you get it when you got real close? Did you get just a massive endorphin release?
No, I almost passed out when I got out of the car. So I was okay because I got out. When you're in the car, you know it's fucked up, but you don't know how bad it is until you get out. And then there's people all around because the whole motorway had come to a close, and they're all standing around because they all thought I was dead. And then I climb out of the car, like full of beans, presumably because I'm full of adrenaline. But then when I turn around, I just went white because I'm like, holy shit.
And then, boop, over you went.
Well, no, then some guy insulted me. So one of the cars I'd smacked into, right, we'd pulled up and obviously was there to get insurance details because I had hit his car, to be fair. But he said, because I had long hair at the time, he's like, I wanted to check if that woman was okay. And I was like, and then you crawled out. So he said. He'd just seen me from the back, so just in long hair.
Great.
So my reality sandwich was some guy telling me I look like a chick.
Pretty cool, man. A lot of people get that massive endorphin release. You don't have to go through one of those experiences. You just have to you could do it in your dreams, right? It still works. Everyone's been in that position, any number of positions right near death in your dreams. And you get that, you go numb, right? Ever happen?
Yeah, I wake myself up.
It's like, it's that sleep paralysis. Am I the only one?
No, I've read all about it. I've just not experienced it. Yeah, I've heard all about sleep paralysis, and there's all sorts of people who describe the process of sleep paralysis, but with a demon sitting on them. In other words, they picture somebody physically restraining them as they're awake and conscious but can't move, and it's described.
God, that
sleep
turned
paralysis.
creepy.
Yeah, well, that's just
Oh,
next.
hell.
That's next stage. They say in the study that definitely occurs with anybody that gets it. So you've got that to look forward to, from what I understand.
Thanks, appreciate that.
I'm only joking. I just made that up.
Yeah. I know there's a few people out there. I know I'm not the only one that's had that. Hopefully.
I didn't make it the demon bit, though.
I
That
did.
bit's true. So there are plenty of accounts throughout history of people describing incorrectly what they thought was a demon getting on them and sitting on them, stopping them from being able to move, when in reality it was sleep paralysis just being verbalized through a dream state that's given them a way of describing what's happening to them physically.
I see.
How do you know
Some
it
people,
wasn't
some
a
people
demon?
call it the old
Or an
hag or
alien.
the El Baba Yaga.
I don't know.
A lot of different names for it.
That's why there was a silence vacuum, because I don't know. I'm just recounting some of the accounts I've read of this. So no, I don't know this.
It's really interesting.
I had an
that's
experience
how
with the
they
shadow people and that.
That's similar stuff. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us all about it.
I was 19. I was like really drunk, and like I woke up. I was laying on my back, passed out on the couch in my mom's house, and I couldn't move. And a shadow passed over the room, and then it kind of got smaller and formed into like an individual. I don't know if like my mind was doing it, so it's hard to say, because like a split second later I jumped up and I was like nothing was there and everything was okay.
Perfect. There you go. First-hand account.
Yeah, it's definitely a dream.
Yeah, it's sleep paralysis.
Definitely a dream.
It was just that's somebody who's got a first-hand account of it. That's his description of exactly that.
Or Rehypnol.
Or somebody put the date rape Drake in his drink when he was at the bar. Maybe. Unlikely.
And that shadow looming over was... Oh, I don't want to go there.
That was his Uncle Joey. No, I don't think so.
I didn't go there, just so everyone knows. That was Nathan.
Well, I know that.
My
just-
shark story.
Go ahead.
Nathan,
Hello.
gonna go
That's me.
ahead.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, my sharks. Hey, Kiwi. Hey, everybody.
Do you all need permission from Nathan to
Hey,
talk?
chocolate. I was stuck in the water with a great white shark many years ago, off of Australia. I swam out past where all the sand was in the beach. I went way, way out. I used to go, just because there were so many waves, instead of going left to right swimming, I used to just go straight out past the waves and keep going out straight. I come back in, I go out, I come in, just out in, as opposed to trying to deal with waves. And it was a really, really, really hot summer, and I remember it was a Friday. I remember I was off work until the next Wednesday, and it was coming up to Christmas time, which is their biggest holiday as well. So there was, and I had plenty of money in the bank. I met a really nice girl, all the rest of it. So everything was going good. So I swam way out past where the sand would normally be on the beach, and you'd have to go out far now to get away from where the sand was, out to where there's only rocks and seaweed, and when you look down, you're only seeing small patches of sand. I was probably about 40 foot of water, maybe a little bit more, around 40 foot of water in depth. And because there's so much sun, the sun does penetrate the water a lot, but it doesn't go down you can't clearly see down to 40 foot onto seaweed and rocks. But I was swimming there, I was in good form, felt really, really good, and I suddenly got a weird feeling, and it just came out of nowhere, and my hearing changed, and that's how I knew it was real, because my hearing changed straight away. There was thousands of people on the beach, and there was loads of activity going on, because it was the year of the Olympics as well in Sydney, and suddenly all that drowned out, and I could hear every little ripple of water around me. and I saw that what was looked to be a really big shadow just pass down underneath me. But as I said, I could only see little bits of sand. So something big went underneath, probably about 35 foot down. And it was really big. And because I was in Australia, I suspected this could happen at any point. And I always suspected it can happen anyway. It didn't matter where it was. And I said to myself, I said, if I look down and I see the shark, then I'm playing into the shark's game, because what the shark wants to do is, if it wants to get you, what it'll do to stop itself from being injured is it will start to terrify you. It'll do things like it'll show its dorsal fin for a moment, make a splash behind you, and you won't get to see it till you've already terrified yourself. So I said, if I look down now and I see it, I'm more likely to end up starting to get terrified or get scared or wanting to try and escape. And I couldn't, because where I was, there was just no way I could possibly get to anywhere before it could catch me. It could swim at about 40 miles an hour. I had never, and I'm a slow swimmer, so I knew there was no way out. So I said, I'm not going to play into the game. It's a lovely day. Things are going good. If this is where it ends, this is where it ends, because I had almost died a few times before that. And I meant, I'm just going to enjoy my swim. If it's the last 20 seconds of what I have to do on out, I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going into the shark's game. If you want to get me, you can get me. And I just feel like the shark maybe wasn't hungry or whatever. It was about 3 o'clock in the day. It's not their normal feeding time. As I said, I didn't look down. I just saw a huge shadow, but everything changed. If it was a whale or something, that wouldn't happen. Everything changed. All my hearing changed. Everything. And I just said, no, I'm going to enjoy my swim, because I'm not going to go into a panic. And there was nothing I could do. It was literally nothing I could do. So I just enjoyed my swim. And within about 2.5, 3 minutes, suddenly, out of nowhere, all the sound came back. And I just felt okay again. I think it was down to maybe he wasn't hungry and I tried to stay calm. And that's what saved it. And I know it wasn't paranoia, because I had a second time when I was with someone else, and the two of us got the same feeling and got in out of the water, and it turned out there had been a great white shark in that area that evening. This is the second time with a relative of mine. But
that story tells me just how amazing we are as individuals, as people. How quickly your body can sense danger and focus and tune all of your senses to what to do and how to do it in an instant. Like you say, it sounds like you're in a closed bubble. You can hear everything really focused around you. Well, that's just down to the processing part of your brain saying, reject everything else. It's just deciding in that instant what needs processing and what doesn't, and doing a very good job of it, right?
Yeah, your nervous system is just...
That was your spider sense kicking in.
Yeah.
It has a name, It's called focus.
Yeah.
Focus reveals the true depth of our grasp on things in reality.
So we should trust our senses and not the heliocentric priest telling us about our senses?
Yes. Correct.
Yes.
I do. We were having a good time here, QE.
We brought it back on topic.
That story was going to get brought back on topic at some point. The fact that there's a nice segue there,
by the way.
So, in studying athletes,
the shark definitely wasn't hungry, because you wouldn't have known about it if it wanted to eat you.
Are we
you
done
would have
talking
known
about
about it,
you?
because sometimes they let you know.
Oh, you know about it, all right.
No, because
we
they
done
attack
talking
from
about
below,
you?
don't they? If you were food.
No.
Yeah, but they tear you up.
Hey, Vacuum, are we done
I have
talking
a
about
question
you?
for Vacuum.
I was saying something.
Speaking of sharks being hungry,
hold on.
you mentioned gravity before.
Hold on,
Which
John.
one were you talking about?
1 second. John said
Talking
got a
about
question.
sharks, did you have breakfast, John?
Say got a question. The other John. John.
Yeah. I'm kind of new to the whole flat Earth side of this debate, and a lot of my cognition problems came in not being able to accept the other side's ability to have intelligence. When I begged the question, I assumed that everyone on the other side was a moron, just in principle. Do you do that as well, Vacuum, or you accept that the people you speak to may be intelligent as well.
Absolutely not. I think there is vast intelligence in this group.
Well, that's a great first step. That's good.
Is Adam still here?
Adam is still here.
Right, that was a lie. Sorry.
Well,
I was waiting for
I would like
Neil.
to know what makes him say that.
I was waiting for Neil to just step in and go, he's being disingenuous, but he didn't.
But if he actually thinks that, why?
I-
Why does
I-
he
I
think
wasn't
that?
being
If
disingenuous.
they're
Laundry day.
wrong
Hold
about
on,
everything.
hold on. Let's hear it. Go ahead, Vacuum.
I was just saying I wasn't being disingenuous.
Well, I said I was waiting for someone to
Why did you
say
say
it.
that? Why?
Pardon? Why did I say I wasn't being
No,
disingenuous?
just take him at face value. If he says he understands that there are people on the other side of the argument, which is now his side of the argument, unless we take him at face value that he was just joking and does actually believe there's evidence, even though the evidence that he could present we have already debunked. That's a bit of a mouthful for your position, eh? He says that he understands that there are people who are intelligent on the flat earth side. Just take him at face value. If that's what he says, fine.
Okay, but I'd like to know like how he sees that, because I thought that flat earth is like, if you choose flat earth, that's supposed to be stupid, right? So you still give recognition that there's smarts on the other side. How can that be? That seems self-contradicting from your perspective, from the baller perspective.
Well, I don't want to dive into the definition of intelligence or what isn't stupid, but cognition has a
don't?
lot to do with it, doesn't it? So, or the way you perceive certain things, I guess.
So what do you want to talk about then?
Was there a segue to that question?
I'd like to ask
Just
Adam
did.
a question based on
I
Brian's
tried,
story.
Just, yeah, go on then, because I've got to shoot in a second. So go on. Tell me.
Yeah, okay. So I'm sure you heard Brian's story about the shark. So I'm working with some athletes and about the chemicals that release in the body at certain times. Can you give your take on, whether it's adrenaline or noradrenaline or dopamine or
I told you it's
serotonin?
endorphins.
You are, John.
I told him it's endorphins.
Well, if you're getting attacked by a shark,
it.
it's endorphins.
I'm talking to Adam.
It's a shark attack, not dolphins. You're going to
You
get.
laugh at that, and you don't laugh at my joke.
Oh, that was great, Adam.
It was my
You're gonna
joke.
get-
You dope.
Yeah, you're going to get all of those, aren't you? So specific to time slowing down, I'm not sure, but you're going to get the adrenaline, flight and fight response. You're going to get the endorphins and enkephalins, which are pain management and allow you to overdrive, as well as dampening down pain for you. So you're going to get all of those things. I would have thought, specific as to which ones accessing. I mean, what Brian was talking about is more like a fifth sense, isn't it? Something else. Or what Nathan's talking about in terms of slowing down. I'm not sure exactly which that is. I would have thought that would be adrenaline partly and neurotransmitter, or even if it's not, because to me that's not a physical thing, is it? You process different. It's not necessarily anything different going off. You seem to step out of time, don't you? Your thoughts is the thing. Whether that's, to me, I don't think that's solely a chemical response. I think there's a bit more to it. What that is, I ain't got a clue. But
Well, do you not, based
I
on his
wouldn't-
description though, wouldn't you say endorphins would be the most likely culprit? So my understanding of endorphins is if you have a massive overdose of them, you go into shock, right? In other words, pain relief you described it as. So if he's saying, well, I'm just going to accept my fate, that would be your body preparing for pain. In other words, it might be a massive rush of endorphins.
Yeah, because they stimulate mu opioid receptors, so they dampen down that sensory input into the CNS. So That's why you release those. So it's like when you're playing football and you get kicked in the shins, you don't feel it till after the game. So they're doing that. They're putting that.
I got a slide up in Master B,
Adam's
Nathan,
completely
that
right.
describes some of these chemicals, and I think several things were going on in Brian's story, like the GABA and the noradrenaline. If this chart is correct.
I would suggest is all those. That's what I'm saying. All those kind of neurotransmitter chemicals probably be more at play, in terms of, because it's a processing thing, so it'll be more the centrally acting neurotransmitters that to me, if it's going to do that. But like I say, for me, I think there's a bit more to it than.
I would say at a point like that, your body is just. Your body knows that something is happening, and it just ups the processing power. So you take in more information, I guess, making time, quote unquote, seem like it's slowing down just because you're processing more information. Just makes more sense like that.
Actual what Brian described was processing
that's not
less.
happening.
I think you're right on there, Chocolate, because when I study the athletes who are in the zone, or they claim to be in the zone, and everything's happening different than normal athletic work that they happen on a daily basis, when they get in this state called the zone, all of those things are happening the way you said, Chocolate.
Yeah. And the only way you can give an athlete more time to concentrate on stuff is to give them less to think about. So in other words, if you're a race car driver, you've got to learn the track so that you don't have to think about what's going to happen on the next bend. It's just already processing without you having to think about it. In other words, you've got less to think about. But if you need more processing power because you've got not enough time to do it in, then it's going to seem like time slows down, exactly as Chocolate described. Anybody got anything to add before I round out?
Yes.
When I studied when I studied the endorphins at university, I always put them or contexted them with Creator's Mercy.
Creator's Mercy, right?
Creator's Mercy, yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ Panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!